Good morning, Wizard World, Pittsburgh. It's Mike Watson, back on the stage. Hello, cosplayers. How are you? That's right. I know it's early on a Sunday, but we're still here at the con. And I want some people to come over to me, because I'm going to be talking about how to make comics. I've been dibbling and dabbling in it. She's excited. She's here. She's a leader. Everyone that comes over here will then be a follower, but that's not a bad thing because she's an initiator. There you go over there. Check that guy out waving his arms. He's excited. Okay? Judge Dredd, make a decision. All of them. He just did it right there. He made a choice, people. I hope you saw it. Dr. Strange, could you make some portals so it's easier for everybody to get over here? Your portal is happening right now. Step back and then step inside. It'll bring you right to this section. All right. That's cool. I'll do this show with one person. I don't care. I'm all about it. She can get all this love, all this comic wizard geekdom love. She can get it. That's it. We got some more people coming. Jen is on Facebook Live watching. What's up, Jen?
Do you need your iPad connected again?
Yeah, I just have it connected again. I got it. All right. Thank you. Hey, excuse me, sir. I never caught your name. Trento?
Yeah.
Hey, round of applause for this guy, because he's been looking out for me all weekend. He's been taking good care of me, man. All right. Oh, did not save in order. That's terrible. So we're going to be jumping around here. That sucks.
Who we start with?
Yeah, that's only what we're talking about.
Oh, is that the only one?
Yeah.
All right. Screen?
No.
Oh, you got a Chromecast on.
Yeah, I was looking for it. Didn't come over. That sucks.
That's interesting. Wow.
I kept the I did the summary script, the layout, and it did not come over. Are the pretty pictures up?
Yes.
All right, awesome. All right, so I apologize. I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. I saved all these in a certain order, and when I transferred them to my iPad, it did not save that order. So I apologize for the mix-up. So we're going to get this party started. I'm super dark, but that's okay. All right, so I'm Mike Watson. I am the publisher of Short Fuse Media, owner of Freestyle Comics, one half of the good, the bad, and the nerdy, aka Superman Brother, and the most enthusiastic person in comics. And if I have not shown that this weekend, I don't know who the heck is. My partner to the side of me is Danny Cooper, editor-in-chief of Freestyle Comics, and the Office Geek, aka retired mutant cactus, button supreme king guy, Danny Cooper.
Morning, guys.
We make comics, in case you did not know that. We're going to be talking to you. Turn your phone to vibrate to the ding. Someone posts. Thank you, Andy. Andy is the man, constant supporter. I love Andy. He's my brother. We're gonna turn this phone to freaking vibrate. There we go. It's good to have people that support you and look out for you. Thanks, Andy. Sean Mack is watching live. Sean Mack is the operating director for Short Fuse Media. Great guy. He's planning a big move. I want to give a round of applause to Sean Mack. He's moving to Georgia, him and his family. Yeah. Shout out Sean Mack. Get his move on. All right, so one of the images did not save. So one of the images, we like to use Google Documents. When we get ready to make our books, Danny and I confer on kind of where we want the books to go. We have 6 books that we publish. The source book is one of our newest books. Vigilance, which is going to be the book that we're going to be talking about today. Oh shoot, Vigilance 2. And Vigilance 3, the actual issue we will be examining. Hot Shot, which is our flagship title with the most issues. Emerald Quest. And Heroes International. So these are all books in the same comic book universe that we're putting out on a quarterly basis. With these books, there's a big plan, big event that we're planning, and we need all these books to hit a certain direction. So generally, I have the whole outlook in my head. I have an outline, Hotshot outline to issue 100, Vigilance outline to issue 50, Heroes outline to about issue 10 or whatnot. And I know where I want everything to go. Then once I have all that worked out in my head, Danny and I kind of sit down either through Skype, video chat, Facebook chat, or whatnot, and we start brainstorming on how to plot the book. What's the big things we have to happen? Generally, Danny is really good at correcting me because he'll say, "Oh, but you forgot about this. We need to make sure this is covered because you forgot about this in this issue."
Yes. So one of the challenges is we have of the titles listed here, we have 20 issues total, and it's going to be a very, very big universe. We have a lot that we've already have a lot of continuity that's already happened within our universe, and we're going to have a lot more that we have planned. So it can make it kind of challenging for some of our writers that come in and they want to, they're bringing great ideas for the stories, but they have to follow that timeline and kind of hit here's the points we need you to hit with this story. It can make it a little challenging, and we encountered that with issue 3 for Vigilance, and you kind of hit that across the way with all with the books that you're creating.
Yeah. So I gotta play cameraman too. They said they couldn't hear you, so I had to move it over.
Oh, okay.
All right. So we
shoot these?
yeah. So we want to give our writers as much creative freedom as possible, but we are very specific in that the books have a direction. We have to have, if we're starting here at point A, I need you to get us to point B. It's up to you how you do it, but you got to include these little bits here and there, which creates a bit more discussion with our writers. Example though, Stephanie Menard, she just took over issue 4 for here, Vigilance, and I wanted to have a female writer on there specifically because there's little nuances about being a female that I just don't know. I have no clue about. And we are building Vigilance to develop who she is as a female on Earth. She is still a superhero, but she has a full-time job as a superhero. She's not going to be full-time anymore. She's going to have a separate life, and she wants to figure out how that exists. She knows nothing of our planet outside of punching things in the face and saving lives. So that discussion with Stephanie, we were probably talking for 3 hours just about that. Just getting her comfortable with the idea and just expressing the idea and going over it before we even talked about really what the plot of that story is going to be. Then after that, we have the plot meeting between me, Danny, and Stephanie about what we need to happen. And so, Stephanie, how can you get us there? We want to be very inclusive to let the writer be able to create so they feel like they're part of it. So while she jumps on, there's a lot of, what would you say, a lot of things that we have to have happen in the beginning. But
and that's what can make it kind of challenging from the editorial perspective is that you want them to tell their story. You want their voice to be heard. But again, you've got to get us to this point. You've got to hit these points for us. And like I said, we went through that with Vigilance 3, so we'll get into exactly what we encountered. But with bringing Stephanie on board is just amazing. I read her script and I was like, everything he and I discussed, like, this is what we really want to do with this story. She hit every single point, and it was just like, I got very, very minor editorial notes. Like, this one's done. Let's move on to the next script. Like, this is fantastic.
Yeah. So after we do that, we do an outline, which is one of the images it didn't say. Basically 2 to 3 sentences of each page. Not a panel breakdown. Just a quick summary of what we want to happen on that page. Stephanie was very specific, and she wanted to do the first 3 pages to see if she had the feel of it. So after we do that, and we read all 22 summary pages for the book, Danny and I go through it, we'll prove it, or we'll say, hey, we need this changed, or this doesn't work. But our favorite app to use is Google Drive. Google Drive gives everybody access to the same file, and the cool thing about that is, if you can see here on the right-hand side, I can make comments. And it says the comments are coming from me. And those comments can be answered either by Danny or the writer. Vice versa. Danny does the same thing.
Yeah, it's very helpful to be able to go in and I like to use the suggestion instead of the edit option because it allows me to kind of create that conversation with the writer and also bringing Mike in to say, well, what about this? And, I'm not sure this is really driving the point home, or what if we add something like this or change it up a little bit? But it works really well. And I will say the one thing about Google Drive that I prefer about it is Google support is fantastic. And we've had issues where files were lost, and Mike popped on the phone and was able to get everything restored. Which, if you lose 2 or 3 scripts with your notes and everything like that, it's terrifying. And they were able to get that back for us. It's just a huge sigh of relief. So definitely a big fan of Google Drive.
Super big fan. So let me see here. Oh no, that's from my Marvel panel. All right, so once we have, let me see, is this an original one? All right, so once we have approved the script, we got the script again. This process is brainstorming, plot meeting, script meeting. Once the script is done, once we've made any changes, if they have any, we've gone through and made sure everything flows good. Then we ask the artist to do layouts, thumbnails, aka thumbnails. Layouts can take anywhere. Really, honestly, the people we work with have day jobs as well, so it does add to our times, and we want to be considerate of that. So normally give a week to 2 weeks to do thumbnails. Thumbnails are literally this size. This is not blown up. This is how big a thumbnail is when we lay them out. And when you get multiple pages on it. So our artist editor did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We got those 6 pages, thumbnail. I can clearly understand what's going on in this page. We are very big advocates of we don't want to go back and have to redo something or fix it. Jen says, don't bring up that horrible Marvel panel. I'm not going to bring it up, Jen. I'm sorry. Jen was not a fan of the panel yesterday that I was in.
Yeah, so one of the important steps is once we get these thumbnails, for me, I will go back through and comb through it with the script, looking through what we have in the thumbnails. The nice thing is, a lot of times artists, we want to give them that creativity to be storytellers, to make sure that if the script says this, it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what's in the script, as long as we're still telling the best story possible. So we'll go through. There may be some minor updates. There may be directions in the panel, the movement of the stories that we may have to make some updates to. So yeah, we'll make sure we get through all of that before we move on to the next step. Because again, like Mike mentioned, you don't want to have them go back over a completely finished pencil page and say, yeah, we need to, this character's supposed to be here, or that character's not even in the panel, things like that.
All right, so once we got these layouts and we both read through the script, compared the words with the pages, we noticed that Vigilance number 3 needs to be reflective of Hotshot number 3. They have very similar stories, and they're taking different paths. But with us building the world that we are with the comics, we both realized we need to have little things that bounce off of these books. So the opening page of Hotshot number 3, Hotshot is completely beaten, looks like he's dead, uniform all tore up and everything like that. And we wanted to catch the viewer's eye. So after realizing that, I went through and made edits to layouts. This is why I like doing thumbnails. This is really quick. It lets us get access to it, and I can edit stuff through Photoshop and right over and draw it. So when I went through those pages again with Danny, I told the artist, I want this page 1 changed. That page 1 that we had the first time that you saw, we moved that to a different area of the book. We basically cut the book up. We took out all the pages, shuffled them up for a different type of storytelling that we had going on. But instead of having to draw this and sketch this, I just pulled the image off my computer and put it in there. Like, I need you to draw Vigilance laid out just like this, except she's in a pool of liquid purple ooze. Draw it like that. We kept page 2 just the same. A couple of these pages, like page 3, I cut some of those panels out from another page and shifted and added them on here. Said, here, this is the new layout. Page 4, we erased page 4 completely, rewrote it. I did layouts for it so he could understand what I was talking about. Because the artist that we work with, lives in the Philippines. So sometimes there is a communication barrier. And it's just easier for me to draw it for him so he can see it. So I wanted to sketch that out where Vigilance is in that pool of purple ooze. She wakes up and gasps, but then she sinks and she's drowning. and then we have her in the room with the psychiatrist because this is what she's telling her, versus having her sit in the psychiatrist's room, having that panel and stuff like that. We thought that was boring for that moment. We wanted to entrap you in this and get you intrigued with it.
So part of issue 3, in Hot Shot issue 4 and 5, the events that occur in those issues, she's retelling from her perspective to the psychiatrist. So that's another one of those, kind of creating some barriers for the writer to say, look, we need you to be familiar with what happened in Hot Shot 4 and 5, and then understand that that's what we're going to be referencing here in this issue.
Right. So once we have done the thumbnails, once the thumbnails have all been approved, we tell the artist that they can go ahead and work on layouts, full-size layouts. Edward is a digital artist, so he can do the layouts really quick on his computer. He does it all digital, and it's good enough to where he can do final pencils and inks on it. So his layouts are pretty fleshed out. At this point, once we approve the layouts, there should really not be anything that we need to correct, but sometimes there's just some stuff you can't catch until it's like really there in your face. That's why we have so many steps within these stages. So the first page, Edward knocked it out of the park. Vigilance is in this purple liquid, and she looks like she's dead. Second page, he completely laid that out. Third page, well, this isn't the third page, this is another page. And we have that all worked out. This is what his finished pencils digitally look like. All right. So once the layouts are done, layouts are approved, then I approve them to go with pencils. Of course, Danny and I kind of work, well, we don't. We do work hand in hand. It's always good to have that second set of eyes on your book.
One of the things that helps when you go through a stricter process with the thumbnails, it can make reviewing the pencils a little bit faster and easier because now you're going back and doing a quick compare back to the layouts. If you've already got all your notes on there, it's not as meticulous by going back as going through the pencils again back to script. You already know where you stand with the thumbnails.
Alright, so when we went through the script and we read the script with the layouts, we dubbed this. Hold on a second. Just waiting for the announcements to stop for a second. All right. So when we realized that the story wasn't being told the way that we wanted it to, again, when you're reading this stuff as just words, it works. But then we saw it with the layouts. The story wasn't being conveyed the way that we needed to be conveyed. That's why we have all these different steps and stages. So at this point, we have now dubbed this the Phantom Edit. We've gone back through and pages that need to be redone. We went ahead and crossed those out immediately. So page 1, 4, 6, 8 through 11, 15, and 20, they need to all be redrawn. The artist already did all the layouts for those pages. I was not about to ask him to redo those pages because at this point, it wasn't his fault that the layouts weren't right. It was on us because we thought we were cool with the script, but really we weren't once we saw it with the art. So I went ahead and did all those layouts. I wasn't going to make him do more work or anything like that. Plus, I didn't want to pay for it again.
Yeah, it can be tough to sit back and really look at the content and say, this isn't bad, this is good, but I don't know if this is exactly what we want because we're wanting to be by the end of this issue.
So how do you get the same style in continuity so accurately so that it portrays the same character from two different artists in one comic?
That can be very challenging, and it's a challenge that we face with Vigilance. So our first issue, we've had a different artist on issue 1, 2, and 3. We've had some great talent that have worked on these, and when we got around to the next issue, they're booked on other stuff, and it's kind of like, well, do we wait 5 or 6 months when they're free to jump on the book, or like, we got to move forward and get this book out? Vigilance #1 has been our top seller for like 2 years in a row. It's like, we've got to continue to produce this product. So it's challenging. The nice thing is that they do bring their own flair to it. So Mel Soy-Chan, who drew issue 2, just a beautiful artwork. She brought something very dynamic. So like when you read through issue 1, that art style worked really well. Issue 2 is a huge fight. It's very dynamic, and Mel just really delivered, and it was exactly what we needed for that specific story. I don't think we ran into any interruption in the character, but it worked really well. And then style-wise, same thing for issue 3. Edward he worked really well. Like the character Void he did a very good job on renditioning that character, and so we've been fortunate. We've been able to make it work, but that comes in with us making sure So we've one thing that we've been lucky, we've had the same colorist. On those 3 issues. So, the art's been different, but it's allowed us to maintain that same color palette, kind of the same tone as we've gone through those issues. That's helped a lot.
Pretty much hit it right on the head there. So that's a good answer. So as we're doing the Phantom edit, we have pages that are acceptable. Pages 2 to 3, 5, 7, 12 to 14, 16, 19, 21, and 22. And that's just looking at what pages we're going to keep. So we redid those pages, shuffled them up in the order that we wanted to make it work. Now, what I was trying to locate is actual, let's see here. So even here, where it says page 3, I even put the notes in the script so we realized what was going on. This is the actual script that we used to write that issue, but I say specifically, keep panel 1 and 2 as is, remove panel 3 and 4, replace with panel 6 and 7 from page 6, where Void destroys her quickly. So I'm making sure that we don't make any more mistakes moving forward, that people see it in the script and they see it on the layouts. So if you get the layouts per chance and you're like, well, what is this? This isn't what was laid out. You can go to the script. There's the editor's note. Now, here are the colors of that page.
And kudos to Veronica Smith. She did an amazing job on this issue.
Yes, she did. So what I want to point out is you can see this section right here, editor did not draw the arm underneath the liquid. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing at all. But Veronica, being the person that she is, she colored the arm under the liquid. Like,
it's little things like that Veronica does that is just very fantastic. We're very fortunate to have her on our team. We really are.
Yeah. So she does little things like that all the time. And we've been working with Veronica for 3 years now. So she has more than enough, we have more than enough trust in her. So we just recently promoted her to associate editor at Freestyle Comics. So decisions and choices like this are in her power hole to do. And then I even went back to the picture myself. I was like, that wasn't there. But it's a dope little entry that makes that picture even more powerful. All right, so these are the colors on page 2. Veronica did really well. The smoke was kind of like the idea of smoke, the way Edit drew it, but then Veronica really sold it with the colors that she added there. She even put the little oranges and the reds and the yellows, so it really looked like that missile was fired from over. This, come on. I freaking love that explosion so very much. Now, in all honesty, when Edit drew that was just a basic smokestack, but Veronica put the colors in it and it really brought it home. This is why I like working with a team. I'm not good at every single thing of the book. I can do every part of the book, but I don't excel at every part of the book. Other people are better at coloring, inking, editing, lettering than I am, and our job or our wish is to put together the best book that we possibly can, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
I think that's one of the important pieces when, you can be a one-man show and do everything yourself, but there's definitely value in surrounding yourself with the correct talent and trusting them and relying on them, what they're going to tell you and the feedback they're going to provide you to make the product better.
This panel started at 11?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so little thing that we did not talk about earlier that I'm going to talk about real quick, and it's a subconscious thing with your eye, guiding your eye throughout the page. We have a natural reaction to read left to right, but it's also the artist's job and the editor's job to make sure we're telling you what we want you to see first. So if we start over here with the left, there's the explosion of the fire. It goes straight across. He catches the missile. His arm is sticking out. We have him at an angle. His arm is bent and is leading us into this next panel over here. He throws the missile, which brings us back into this panel. That explosion is set at an angle, drawing us down to the fire. Vigilance's hair comes into that panel, making us see Vigilance right there.
So it's something that you don't always have to do in every single page, but it's really good. So when you think about that, you should be able to draw a line across the page from panel to panel that leads you through that story. And it's there subconsciously. You don't see it, but it actually it helps the reader make sure that they're flowing through the story correctly. So when you do that and you apply it to properly placed letters and where the letters appear at, there may be, I want you to read this in this specific balloon prior to, and then I want you to look at the art and then go back to read, what's said in this next balloon, so that as you go through that one picture, you're actually going through a story, just one picture or one panel.
All right, so page 4 is one of the pages that we redid, a completely new page. I knew exactly what I wanted to happen on it, so I wrote it and I laid it out. Page 4, Vigilance awakens in the realm of the dark realm, but she is in a river of purple liquid. She rises from the liquid in shock as if she is drowning. Costume is home. Vigilance is struggling, almost drowning, sleep perilous, like struggling in liquid. All while the darkness is speaking to her. Vigilance misleads the doctor that she does not remember anything else, but she begins to hear the darkness. So that's just an overall summary of what I want to happen to that page. Then I go into panel breakdowns. Profile shot of Vigilance submerged in the purple liquid. We can see her face partially, barely floating. That's the description of panel 1 right there. So it helps that I can also draw. That so when I'm ranking the descriptions, I can lay it out really quick. Panel 2, she wakes up like from a nightmare, still in the purple liquid. She is in shock and nervous. She's struggling to find breath as she seems to be drowning. Panel 3, she falls under liquid, so on and so forth. So that's the thumbnail. And literally, Edit just took this page, this layout, blew it up to the right size, and just drew over top of it. So I said, do it exactly like this. And everything in this layout is driving you down into the next panel. Now to actually see that page completely done with just colors, oh God, that's pretty. That is a sexy ass page right there, everybody. All right, I want you to understand that. Veronica absolutely killed the colors on this. The mood, the setting, and everything.
I was going to say mood's the big key on this page. Editor did an amazing job with the artwork, but Veronica really is the one that knocked it out of the park with setting that mood throughout that entire page.
The expression in Vigilance's face, Editor captured it perfectly. You woke up from a nightmare, you realize you're in the water, you're gasping for air. I feel that in that panel.
And again, it's all about having that creative team, and that's going to deliver for you. So Eder did exactly what we needed him to do to tell that story. But if we didn't have the right colorist on there, we would have lost. It would not have had as much of an impact as what we needed.
Yeah. This panel right here where she put, Veronica colored it, this highlight of the light coming from the window, that was not in our editor's note. That wasn't in the script. Veronica just saw that it needed to be there. It added so much more having that light coming through that window like that. And if you notice, that light is leading you to the psychiatrist, who's leading you to Vigilance, that leads you off the page. Makes you, and that's called a page turn reveal. Danny is super big about page turn reveals.
Yeah, it's the page turn is it can be tricky for writers that aren't as experienced with writing comics, but it's very important because you want, so when you're reading the comic, you want this page ideally to end on a bit of a cliffhanger, so they want to turn that page to see what happens next. So that's a big step that we run into. Like here, fades into darkness. What happens next? So it's very important. You can have very good opportunities with well executed page turns.
So on this page was had some very subtle edits in it. And again, so my previous page that showed what it looked like before did not save, so I apologize. What we have here is a school shooting right now. There's a guy going into a school shooting up everybody as it is. This is an old story from one of Vigilance's first missions. So we have the guy in the first panel walking around carrying a gun. Obviously in the background, he's been shooting, going crazy. We have a child run across the screen, and then this first panel, the first time it was drawn, Edward had gunshots all through this panel like he was shooting a kid. There was nothing in the third panel at all. Just Vigilance swoops in and slams into the guy. That's it. That gun flipping and that gun flare was not there. Then she slams him into a wall. So talking with Danny, we both noticed, well, we want to allude to the idea that this kid may have gotten shot. If we have the gun flares shooting in the second panel, then we're pretty sure that he did. I don't want people to know that the kid got shot. So we took out, I did it in Photoshop, I took out all the gun flares. Just made it look like he was aiming. We kept the swoosh of Vigilance snatching him off scene, right? Added the gun flare there and flipped the gun up to make it look like one shot got off. Like she got there just in time to keep that kid from being shot. But in reality, when we reveal later in the book, he was shot. But we want to give that intrigue that she was there because it's part of the story we're building with her, that she did save it.
And there's one of those that you don't have to show it happen to tell the reader that it actually happened. You can tell right away in her response and rage and anger that what just happened was not good.
Right. This is one of my favorite pages that we worked on. Anybody ever read The Death of Superman? All right.
This was definitely a big tribute to the lead up to Doomsday.
Yes, I absolutely love that book. It's one of the first comic books that I really read all the way through, all 7 parts. I had the big, thick Bible of it. It was incredible. But one of the things that I always loved was Doomsday was coming. I loved that panel, and it was Dan Jurgens, right?
Yeah.
Dan Jurgens and drew it. I love that panel break of Doomsday's fist smashing up against the wall, and he just punches his way through the earth. So, spoiler. Vigilance has a darkness inside her. She has a darker version of herself that she's completely unaware of. Her whole time on Earth, this darkness has been creeping in her and trying to rise up. Due to a situation that happened in Hot Shot 5, where her darkness was unleashed, and we get to see a darker side of her, now it's closer to the surface. And because Vigilance doesn't know who she is, it's pounding through her cerebral cortex. It's breaking free. And that's a theme that we wanted to have reoccur in the book. And we wanted it to happen just like it did in Superman Doomsday, because this was our homage to that, because we absolutely loved it and thought it was great how it happened. So her darker side is slamming into the wall. And the more it slams into the wall, as you can see, the second punch, the purple energy starts to come out. She's crying. The third punch, more of it leaks out. The fourth punch, when it shatters through the wall, she wakes up. The darkness is taking over. So it's these subconscious little things that we want to put in there that are subtle, that tell the narrative without using any words.
And are we going to go through the letters as well with it?
Bam.
Okay.
So I'll let Danny talk about the lettering aspect of it, because he is also the letterer for Freestyle Comics. And it didn't save the letters for this one, so I'm really upset about that. But I got these 2 pages for the letters.
Okay. So one of the things that I like to do is try to be consistent. Kind of one of your questions you asked about the consistency, even though you're changing artists. I've been working on doing the letters for issues 1, 2, 3 of Vigilance, and also a few of the other titles, is to maintain the same style of lettering. So whenever we're using, for example, a caption that's Vigilance speaking off panel, I'm using the exact same layouts. It's the same color red, same text in white, that type of thing. And then leading, placing your caption boxes on this page, pretty evenly across, but kind of it leading through, wrapping through where Vigilance is laying and all the way down across the page until where we get to the intro. I mean, we've got a little bit of the initial intro of where the story is and what's going on, and then we get we introduce our creative team, the title for this specific issue, but just making sure that it flows really well.
Is that hand lettered?
It's lettered on the computer.
Yeah, I'll say this to the day I die. Danny's one of the best letters in the business. The whole reason he got the editorial job is because even as doing the letters, he would find things that we were missing that we didn't catch in our editorial sessions.
And for me, where and why that happens is as you're going through the strip and the art right there side by side, you want to make sure you're hitting all of your points. You want to make sure you're applying it to the right panel. If there's a certain way that the writer wrote that, you're helping. Like as the letterer, you're the best friend between the writer, the artist, and the reader. And you want to make sure that the reader is getting the best experience. You want to make sure the reader is actually getting the story that the writer wrote. So you got to be very, very careful. And that's when we'd start combing through it. And I'd get on to mine like, hey, this character is supposed to be this color. In one of our issues, he changes colors with different powers. He's the wrong color. I think we need to update that. Or realizing that I'm reading through this and it's not making a lot of sense. Or the most challenging thing, Vigilance issue 1 and 2. The writer for that, he used to write novels and is still really new to writing comics. So very, very heavily descriptive on what he was writing.
Yeah.
He's got to the point where he's like, I can't fit this on the page. We're gonna have to trim this down. There's way too much in here. So it got to a point where for our process, it became easier for me to be the editor and also do the letters. And we can do cutting room floor. We can make those changes right there.
Yeah.
What font do you use?
But I use a mixture. This one's CC Meanwhile, I think is the name of it. It's the one I tend to use. But I use different ones depending on the different issues. On Hotshot issue 9, I tried a different font on that. I kind of liked it. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it or not. But I kind of like, you want to find the right kind of font for the story you're telling, and it kind of adds to that theme, that mood.
That's an art form too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always said that a letterer is doing their job the best when you don't notice the letters. It's a very rarely thanked job, and I didn't understand how important the letterer role was until Danny tore me a new one. I lettered one of the books, and Danny just looked at it and was like, no, I'll do it for you. But letters are supposed to fit with the image. They're supposed to fit with the page. You should never be pulled out of the page because the letters are throwing you off or anything like that. They need to
or
blend
be
in.
confused again. They're supposed to lead you through that page. If you're just going through and just reading and kind of glancing at the art, at least that should flow chronologically throughout those pages. And do not get lost like, oh wait, I was supposed to read this panel, this balloon and then this one. So you want to make sure that it's your job to help with that.
Jen says you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
So, again, just creating a flow, a direction for the eyes to go so you can, the letters and the art are all supportive of each other. So we create that one direction because we want to make sure when telling these stories, especially when we're hiding clues and things like that, we want to be able to control for the most part where your eye is going.
So another thing of what we tend to do, and we did this with Vigilance issue 2 and 3, we got the book finished, we got it lettered. I like to print the book out and then just kind of lay it out and look at it. And in this issue, as well as issue 2, we had a lot of parts of the story that were flashbacks. So in this one, she's reflecting on what occurred in the events of Hotshot 4 and 5, but from her perspective. As we read through that, I was like, this is kind of challenging. Like, I think this is going to be a little confusing for the reader. So it's like, well, what do we do? Do we play with a different font style? How do we do that? And we came back, it's like, you know what? I think the best thing for us to do is let's go through any of the flashback stories or any of those scenes that she's telling us what happened. Is we're going to bring down the opacity or the saturation on those pages. So as you go through the book, those scenes are separated by the coloring and the difference in saturation. So it's a lot easier for the reader to follow.
Do you get one printed as a test before you do the full line?
Sometimes we do. We do have a local printer in Columbus that we can use, and he's amazing. He'll get us anything like ad hoc, out of nowhere, really, really quick turnaround. And that's a good question because there are times that you may not see it until it's in print. And I've got copies of the books that I've gone through the edits on, and I've got. I've printed them out and I've made notes on the pages and post-it notes and all kinds of stuff. And, I'll get with Mike, like, all right, look, we went so when Vigilance issue 2 was done, I brought my packet that I went through and it was like, look, you've got to make some changes. I mean, I don't want to change the story, but I think we need to adjust how we present it. In issue 2, we start out with about 8 pages of exposition of explaining who this villain is. So if you read issue 1, it ends on a big cliffhanger. Issue 2 is the fight between Vigilance and this character, but we've got about 8 pages of explaining who she is before we get to the fight. I'm like, it's too much exposition. We're not going to cut it. We're going to trim down some of the dialogue because we've got a lot of dialogue in here. But what we're going to do is actually have this working. We took the 8 pages of exposition and worked it in as flashbacks, as the villain's somewhat monologuing throughout the fight, and it works so much better. So we jumped right into action. And a little slow down, action, slow down, action, slow down. It was much better presentation.
So when you send this to the printer, is it a whole bunch of each page is a separate Photoshop page?
So what we'll do is, so it depends on your printer. Sometimes they'll request the files in different formats. Some printers only want to use TIFF files. TIFF files are faster for the printers to spool. But a lot of printers nowadays just send us everything high res in a PDF. Some printers have their own format. Once they get the files, they'll break that down and prep for how they choose to print it.
Is each page you send them? Like you don't put it in a publishing program and send it to
No,
them.
no. Well, I think most of what we send is just a PDF, right?
Some printers take a PDF. Some printers take a PDF of all the pages. Other printers just want the single pages individualized.
It depends. I know Kablam used to want individual TIFF pages, I think, zipped. And then some, it's a lot easier when someone's willing to take a high-res PDF. And it's a lot easier for us. Yeah.
And then how do you, is it them that determines the lead on that? Like you say, I want my comic page to.
Oh, they provide us a template. Each printer has their own template for the cuts and everything like that.
Okay.
And that's another thing that, from the editorial standpoint with the artist, is at the very, very beginning, is like, here's our template. You need to pay attention to the margins. You got to make sure that, you're. So there's a lot of times we've had to kind of go in and move panels around, shrink some stuff down to make sure we can all fit into the page.
Before you start anything,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
who's printing that book.
Right.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
Yeah. So we have our local printer that we'll use for ad hoc printing, and then short fuse media. We go through
Comics Wells Press.
Comics Well Press. Yeah.
Oh, we have an ad for them normally.
Your coloring is very nice. I've heard of Coban, but why don't you use that versus
Lamp charges too much.
Yeah, they're really expensive.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and their turnaround time isn't the fastest.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I mean, they do great work, and they offer the great platforms to customers for.
Yeah,
some
they
of
have the
those-
store, the online store
Yeah.
stuff. So, cause Lamb has some really good stuff, but we don't print our books in bulk. I normally print the books on per show basis. I keep track of all our sales through Square Up, which is a really good app. So whenever I go to a Wizard World show, I already know my averages. When I go to a Wizard World show, I know how much on average I'm going to sell at a show.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible to go. There's some printers like Print Ninja in China. They do fantastic
Greco.
work, but they do. They're smaller but large runs, so you get like 1,000 copies is what you'd have to get. I mean, that's a lot of product to sit on.
So you can actually get print on demand. You can say I only need 5 books from them.
Yeah, it depends on the printer that you use.
Yeah.
Like I said, Short Fuse has its own exclusive printer that we use. And I normally will go to that printer to get bigger orders. Like when I know I need like 100 copies of a book.
Yeah.
But for like short runs, like 20, 25 books, I use page-by-page copies and finishing. And that's a local printer in Columbus. I know that can be banged out really quick, and it's in the same city I am. I can pick it up or they'll drop it off at my house.
There's also the supporting our local printer,
Yeah.
what he provides. Brian does fantastic work over there.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's also about finding a network of people that can help you get things done and building a team and using that. So Short Fuse Media has a large portfolio of partners that we work with to get our books out there. That's why they've been so successful at putting out books for as long as they have and have a great audience on Kickstarter. A lot of people want to get their books underneath the banner of Short Fuse, and we're picky. We're picky with the books that we take under. We actually kind of trimmed some of the fat off of Short Fuse to inline our books. We had over 50 comics. We went down to 30 because we wanted to make sure we put out the books that were targeted in the direction that we want to go into.
So how do you handle that? Say you want to go get like a small amount printed, and then all of a sudden, hey, I'm coming up with a call and I need 100 of these printed. But now wouldn't they have different templates that you would use? How do you
Well,
juggle
so
that?
we keep our files separate. So we have our print files if we're going to use our local printer versus they already have the files on hand for the print spring printing.
Yeah.
They have it all on hand, so we just place our order and they'll go into their archive and pull that and print it for us. But I mean, kind of to your question at the start of that, I've worked on freelance work where we get to the letters and they haven't picked a printer yet. And then they realize that, my pages aren't exactly the same size, and it may only be like a quarter of an inch off, and then you're making adjustments, and it can take a lot of extra work on the back end to make sure. So, if you look at this page here, for example, this panel is the entire background. So you have color all the way around this. So if we've got all of a sudden now we got to make the page a quarter inch bigger all the way around. We got to try to fix that color and not crop the page too much. So I would highly recommend if you're ever looking to do print books, pick your printer first.
Yeah.
Get your template up front, not just for printing, but hand that off to your penciler and say, I need you to work at this size.
Pass it off to everybody: penciler, inker, colorist, and a letterer.
Yeah.
With the way that we do, our letterer does our post-production work as well. So cleaning up the pages, making sure they're the right size, and things like that. He kind of took over the job because he wanted it done a specific way.
Yes, I wanted it done right. The other thing with the letters for me is I enjoy being able to make it a part of the artwork. And Mike mentioned the page where she's punching into. So we have it on this page where she's punching, and we've got the same sound effect. It's just basic sound effects. But when we get later, where she's actually closer to breaking through, one of my favorite things was being able to continue that same format. But then I went back. I was like, the letters they're just kind of bland at this point. So I went back and pulled the inks. And in the inks, you see the wall breaking. So I was able to put the inks back over top of the letters. So it all lines up. And you can see now the breaking of the wall matches up with the breaking of the letters. And it all flows together as part of the artwork. I can't always do that, but I really like to take advantage of it and do it when I can.
Again, these are all things that are able to happen on our books because we have a creative team that are looking at it from all different perspectives. I would have
being organized.
I would have thought to do that. Yeah. But he's the editor, he's the letterer at the same time, and he's reading and seeing all these things because he has all the pieces in front of him. I'm more of the story creative guy. Like, how do we tie in the artwork to make, to suggest this or lead for this next thing that we need to happen in the book? I'd say Danny's more of the technical end of it with the creativity. By doing something like that, yeah, it's simple, but it adds so much. And that's something that you can notice in the book. Like, you'll flip back, like, wait, the letters weren't like that before.
Yeah. So, and that goes back to being organized. We go to our Google Drive. We've got folders for every single step of the process. I can quickly jump back, pull those inks, put them on top, size, done. Instead of saying, hey, Mike, I need, who's got the inks? Oh, let me get a hold of the inker. I got to wait for him to send them to me. We've got everything organized right there, and I get it done immediately.
Well, I'm going to have to wrap it up. We only got a couple more minutes left. I'd like to thank all of you for coming and check out the panel. Hope you learned something. Hope you're able to teach you a little something.
Thank you.
Did you have any questions? No?
If you guys do have any questions, we're over at B46.
No, B16.
B16. Make sure to step over, check out what we have, and ask any other questions. Thank you guys.
Cool. All right. All right. Oh, Jen, what's your question? Matt, what's this is watching?
Question for you. Yeah. I didn't bring any of my work. You looking for a new pair of pens still?
We're not. I'll say we're not actively looking, but we're not looking. That makes sense. If we find the right talent, we're always take this on.
You have a card?
We do not. You can find us on Facebook as Freestyle Comics.
Yeah, we've got we'll give you a card over at our table. It's got our logo. You can find us at Freestyle Comics on social media.
Couple things I was trying to get into the comics is, now I don't think this would fit your thing as much as like a Marvel or something like that. I did 3D animation for quite a while. And my whole idea was for comics is to build a section. Like if you had your doctor's office, you have to draw and draw and draw and draw again. If I build a 3D model of it, sent that to you, you can move the camera around, get your background for whatever you want. Done.
Come get our contact information.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, good. Let me show you my work though. You'll love.
Jen wants a shout out from you.
Shout out
on the microphone. Give Jen a shout out.
Hey Jen, how's it going? Shout out to Jen.
Shout out to Wizard World from Jen.
For Jen.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Jen, shout out from Wizard World and Freestyle Comics.
Jen, shout out from Wizard World and Freestyle Comics.
Let me show you one to blow your mind.
Is that good?
That looks good.
I'm not the most enthusiastic man in comics, but
she LOL. So yeah, that's good.
All right.
She said she loves you.
There you go. Animation. Studio quality.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go talk. All right, thank you for tuning in, Facebook. I got one more panel today, and then I'm done. Join me. What time is my panel? Damn, you know what time my panel is? Yeah, I think it's at 3. Ah, crap, and I had. Look, I'm gonna talk about representation or some stuff with representation in pop culture. Come join me today, room 315, 316. Look for Mike Watson. All right, that's all I had in me. Oh, we're good. It was real good. Thank you again, man. You've been looking out for me all weekend. I appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to do it. You got anything else planned for today?
Huh? I got one more panel. I think it's at 3.